What is thine word? Today I'm picking up from my last video and now have been tasked with something monumental. I wanted to make a video covering what historical figures would have the most legendary devil fruits, but now, oh lord, I have been tasked to assign every single devil fruit to a historical figure. Yes folks, every single one of them, because fuck it, we ball. Since there are literal hundreds of historical figures and dozens of devil fruit that each one of them could possibly have, I'm going to split this video into two parts. The ones I'm covering today focusing on Paramythia only, while the second part will cover Logia and Zoan. I'm going to less focus on biography or an in-depth rationale as I did in my previous videos as to why they're compared to their specific One Piece counterparts. I'm going to rapid fire and try to give a quote unquote proper reasoning why these historical figures have these devil fruits. So I'm gonna stop yapping, launch.
Good luck.
Starting with the Paramythias, Buggy DB, the Bar no Mi, or the Chop fruit of Buggy the Clown, the fruit which allows you to split your body into pieces and become immune to slash damage. I think our first devil fruit would be acquired by Stanzik, the Polish court jester, because, I mean, look at him. He just looks like a buggy ass dude and is already a jester and has also ran away from a bear. I feel as though with his charisma, the Chop fruit would also be an added bonus. I can already picture him floating and moping in his Aesopian jester uniform. Just imagine it. Makes it worth it. With the Sube no Mi, or the smooth fruit, I could see Maria Theresa eating it. I mean, I could have said Cleopatra or Marilyn Monroe or Tamiris, but I feel as though Maria Theresa takes the cake. No pun intended. The chick had 16 kids and there ain't no Weight Watchers or keto friendly foods around that time, just Austrian pastries. Feel as though she would be extremely self-conscious and had fruit hunted down to maintain her image. The Bomu no Mi, or the Bomb fruit who Mr. 5 possessed, I think we all know that our boy Osama bin Laden would have did more than 9. Oh, okay, relax. Alright, maybe Ted K? Big old Ted? Good old Ted? Alright, for real. I don't know why, but I can imagine Oppenheimer with the fruit. Instead of a nuke, you just say, fuck it, I'll do it myself. Then he would literally become the death destroyer of worlds and maybe, quote unquote, minimize some casualties along with it. The Keto no Mi, or the Kilo fruit, who Miss Sit on Me, I mean Miss Valentine possessed. I could see someone like a kamikaze pilot possessing it to take down carriers and destroyers. So maybe Yukio Araki, the 17-year-old kamikaze pilot who perished during the Battle of Okinawa. Maybe his death would have been prevented. Wait a minute, I think he would still fell into the water, so never mind. For Nico Rubin's Hano no Mi, I can imagine no better person to possess this than Leonardo da Vinci. As a polymath, imagine how much he would have done and accomplished with multiple hands. Painting, engineering, composing, writing, jerking,
what?
Painting again, all at once. Would have been an amazing sight. For Misa 3's Dono no Mi, wax fruit, I think it would have been very beneficial for Emperor Nero. Maybe his Roman candles could have worked more efficiently, but also don't like the idea of Christian martyrs encased in wax and burning. Waffle's Baku Munch fruit needs to be given to someone whose greed knows no bounds. Someone greedy, someone gluttonous. While Waffle does share the namesake with Sir Robert Waffle, I think it would be honestly more appropriate for an actual gluttonous king such as Henry VIII to possess it. That way he'd eat all the mutton he wants with the bones and all of the dysenters without any trouble. Mane no Mi, or clone fruit, instead of the modern day king of Okama's RuPaul. I think this fruit would be so OP with an assassin, so why not the actual father of assassins, Hassani Saba, an assassin who could have disguised himself as anyone on the whim. The Templars would have stood no fucking chance. Das Bones' Super no Mi would have been crazy if El Cid ate it, an already masterful swordsman who could not be cut, not without hockey of course. The Reconquista would have been a lot shorter with this juggernaut being a literal man of steel. The Toge no Mi, or spike fruit, is a weird one. I could see any random person eating this since it really has no practical use. But maybe a diabolical bastard such as Vlad the Impaler would have been a good fit. That way his impaling can increase tenfold. You're welcome, Romanians. Hina's Ori no Mi, cage fruit, could have been Bill Clinton's fruit. He'd get those incarceration numbers up personally after the crime bill. And then he'd of course use it for some other things I cannot mention on this video. On a little well-known island, and maybe you know, with Diddy. Bellamy's spring fruit could actually go to the legendary pirate Samuel Bellamy, bouncing about the wide as he participated in extravagant hijinks in the Caribbean. Better fit for the fruit than his disappointing fictional counterpart. Oh boy, the Ito no Mi, the string fruit, would have gone to a monster. Someone that actually liked to play with people's lives as a puppet, a very sick individual, a sick bastard. I think it could go to a lot of people in history, but I feel most appropriately Caligula would have loved to get his hands on that fruit. His unimaginable cruelty knew no bounds and would have actually put Rome in a birdcage and put on a puppet spectacle of people's lives, forcibly having them kill and do unspeakable acts to each other for his entertainment. Foxy's slow fruit needs to be given to a person actually deserving of the fruit, you know? Someone with integrity, someone that could use the fruit for good, maybe for science, use it for humanity, Lance Armstrong. That way he'd avoid the doping allegations while still cheating for the win. It's obvious. The door fruit that Bluno possessed would have been greatly beneficial for Desmond Doss in World War II, getting those troops to safety without, you know, any risk of harm. Imagine how many more people he could have saved as a medic in the Battle of Okinawa and Hacksaw Ridge to just open the door, get out of enemy lines, and just pop out with 1 or 2 troops. Howard Hughes would have personally used all his money to hunt down the Awa Awa no Mi, or bubble fruit. That man would have used it so much he would have probably awakened the damn thing and live in a bubble mansion in his home theater. Very good. Berry fruit is so useless, I couldn't even think of someone that would benefit from it. So I imagine King Herod, so thirsty for power, fear from Yehoshua, he would have gotten to seek the most powerful fruit to deal with him, but ended up getting the berry fruit and, you know, becoming even more useless and probably, you know, killing more babies. Shu's rust fruit for me was probably the most underrated fruit and underutilized fruit, probably the worst designed fruit out of any devil fruit. Shu's rust fruit actually could have been cool if it was actually possessed by a swordsman or an anti-swordsman of some sort. So it would have been dope if someone like Sukahara Bokuden to have the ability, just wondering about Japan and defeating arrogant samurai with even more ease. Might even surpass Musashi's 1 count. I don't even know a better candidate for Captain Shotenguru's wheel fruit in history than Ivar the Boneless. He would have been called Hot Wheels fucking slaughtering any Anglo or Saxon around. The best girl in One Piece's fruit, Perona's fruit, Horo no Mi. I'd imagine a very lonely individual who managed to get their hands on the fruit by chance. Possibly one of the most lonely people in history. Potentially Marguerite de la Roque, who was marooned on the island of demons after getting pregnant. Maybe even reinforcing the island's name by propping up ghosts to keep her company, especially after her newborn passed away. Damn. That actually would be even more sadder than the actual story. Brooks' Yomi no Mi is such a hard one because it could have been given to a number of people in history. I love if an artist like Mozart, Michael Jackson, who would literally be a Thriller version of himself, or Jimi Hendrix, but I'd imagine it'll probably be given to a political leader who politicians would want to stay alive for political interests or any nefarious reason of any sort. So I'd imagine they secretly give it to George Washington, who would have lain dormant for hundreds of years to pop out of nowhere after someone discovers him chilling. That would be a cool movie plot, seeing how fucked over America is right now, and him having to maybe prepare it. Or he can just, you know, start an OnlyFans. It would please me to see your undergarments, bitch. The Kage no Mi, or shadow fruit, I could see a sick bastard like Joseph Mengele performing experiments with dead people in World War II, especially under Hitler's orders to create quote-unquote super soldiers out of the dead. That would be World War Z amplified. And to contrast the last fruit, I think Kuma's Niku bear fruit would be possessed by an absolute saint, someone who dedicated their lives to easing people's pain, walking in the same path as he did. I see no other person or people who would best use the fruit for easing people's suffering other than the apostles themselves. So if one apostle had to bear, no pun intended, the fruit, why not Kuma's namesake, Saint Bartholomew, who also suffered immensely as a martyr as Kuma did as a saint, possibly the worst martyrdom in history. With Jewelry Bonnie's Toshi no Mi fruit, I would have just given it to her namesake Anne Bonnie, but for some reason, I think it would have made an interesting alternative history if Anne Frank had possessed the fruit, to be able to get her and her family to safety. I could see herself disguising as an adult or even manipulating the Gestapo agents to flee successfully. I think it would have been a good movie. On the contrary, on Eustace Kidd's Jiki no Mi magnet fruit, why not just give it to the real Captain William Kidd, one of the greatest to ever do it? Imagine him just ripping out the cannons and rigging and swords from privateers and pirates alike, while also shooting out freaking laser beams at man of wars. The IRL damned one Jika would have never been debated with a simple damn punk. One of the most OP fruits in the verse, the OP no Mi. Instead of a surgeon of death eating one, how about a surgeon of life? I think no better man would be deserving of the fruit than Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, the man who performed the first successful open heart surgery. Imagine how much more successful surgeries and how much more he'd advance medicine if he could simply just boom, shambles out of heart. I think a lot more hospitals would be non-segregated if he was the one operating. Capone Beja's Shiro no Mi castle fruit. Come on, you already know what I'm gonna say. Big Father, ow! How Alcatraz would have been a joke. Yeah, he still might have not dodged syphilis though. I'm just being real here. But hey, you know, Scarface could have gotten out of a lot more situations though. The Mad D Monk's Devil Fruit would have been hella OP with an actual fighter. Muhammad Ali, Sonny Liston, Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Robinson, Mike Tyson. Shit, Rod Tape seems to already have it. But I feel as though Ali wouldn't have eaten it. I think he's too prideful for that. Maybe Sonny Liston, who was already a bad motherfucker, would have been heinous with it. Basil Hawkins' Wada Wada Straw Fruit works so well with his occult and tarot knowledge. I wonder if he'd be a fan of Persona.
As they say.
I think Aleister Crowley would have seeked out the fruit. I have no idea what he would have done with the fruit, but most likely something nefarious. Check it out! Apu's fruit would have been most certainly been in the grasp of a musician. But what musician would want to possess a destructive power? Maybe someone hungry for musical ability, someone who perhaps sell their soul? It is a devil fruit after all, so why not a musician who did sell their soul? Giuseppe Tartini, who composed the Devil's Trill. I could see the devil actually giving him the fruit during his slumber. He would have made many more compositions than a sonata. Boa Midcock, the fruit that Goatbeard is seeking, the Meta Metanomy, would have needed a user who could capture the hearts of many. Someone probably considered one of the most beautiful people in history. So there are a few contenders for this fruit in history, but I think I'm gonna go full Dr. Umar Johnson.
Black women are beautiful,
Black,
but let me
beautiful
refocus.
Egyptian queen,
Black women
like
are
Sister Nefertiti, the woman who was described to capture a man's soul at a simple gaze, would have made devious work of a man's heart with that fruit. I think she would have quickly became pharaoh, maybe even before Akhenaten's death. Hopefully she didn't look like the blasphemous modern day rendition of her face. They really did her dirty, not gonna lie. Magellan's Doku Doku no Mi poison fruit is hard. I don't know anyone who would have probably benefited from chronic explosive diarrhea, but in the wrong hands could have done so much damage. Japanese Dr. Shiroishi, the founder of Unit 731, the unit that made the Nazis look like a joke, a Japanese medical unit which performed indescribable horrors and crimes against humanity, probably some of the worst in history. I have no doubt Shiro would have wanted this fruit to potentially carry out even more horrific experiments, maybe develop a devious weapon against Americans such as Operation PX. Ivankov's trans fruit, the Haru no Mi, I guess would have been had by a real Okama king or queen? Non-binary? No? I don't know who that would be, but an actual Okama king, I think it would have been queen, would have been Roman Empress Elagabalus, who wanted to be referred to as a lady and not lord, and often dressed up as a woman and had both salacious sexual escapades with men and women. I think Rome would have been a very weird Okama kingdom back then. Who knows what type of parades would have gone on in the Colosseum. Coco Chanel would have been a real-life Atropos and snipped away at cloth to design her chic Chanel dresses and snazzy German uniforms of World War II with Inazuma's Choki Choki no Mi scissor fruit. Flamenco's Poke Poke pocket fruit. I don't know if y'all remember, but it was a big ass nigga who pulled out a fat fucking hammer out of his neck. Imagine how crazy it would be if Hannibal Barca pulled out a fat ass elephant out of his chest. You see the image? That's why I think he should have had the fruit. Hiru's Woshi Woshi Wash Wash fruit could have been cool if Pope Johannes would have gracefully washed away the sins of the wicked. Historians say she was a legend, but personally from what I've read, I think she's legit. Shiki the Lion Fua Float fruit has to be given to a goat, someone that would have just baby shaked any opponent they're against. And that, my friends, is Zhang Yisao, the pirate queen, someone I forgot to give my flowers to in the previous videos. Captain of an upward of 60,000 pirates and over 100 ships over her career. Imagine the devastation she would have wrought with that fruit. A floating army of ships and pirates. The golden age of piracy would have never disappeared. San Juan Wolf's huge shoes fruit would have been held by no other than Big Easy. Now I can see the Icelandic Viking chieftain Gunnar Hamon with the fruit. Dude was said to be godlike swordsman and a very big athletic man already. Dude was already an Elbaf warrior. Why not turn him into an actual Elbaf giant and have him establish a Viking strong haven? Blackbeard, dark Yami no Mi is quite possibly the most broken fruit on the list. So whoever would possess this would have had to seek out absolute power. A yearning for power so deep that they would want to challenge even God himself. There are many wicked people that could have gotten their hands on this fruit, but I personally think Cain, the first murderer possessing the Yami fruit, which could have also originated from the Garden of Eden, in a fit of furious rage, sadness, and jealousy over his brother Abel. He was tempted by the fruits of life and death that the tree bore, as his mother and father were. He takes a bite, persuaded by the serpent that he shall gain unimaginable power and gain the recognition of the almighty Lord Yahweh, the heavenly warmth and gaze that he so desperately yearned for, but discovered it was all for naught. Out of a fit of rage and jealousy, he murdered his brother and bore the darkness that the fruit bore. This would be known as God's curse put upon him and the entirety of humanity. As the mark of Cain, the Yami Yami no Mi introduced death in the world, and any damage was wrought upon Cain, the damage comes back sevenfold. This pretty much aligns with the actual properties of the fruit. The vulnerability to pain and the negation of invulnerability as the mark bestows. Might have gone a little crazy on the Christian fanfic, but I think that would make for an interesting narrative and allegory worthy for Genesis. Vanderdecken's mark fruit is weird. It would have most likely used for assassination, but an assassin that could actually get close enough to his target to touch. I can only think of a couple of people in history that can get close enough to their target to mark, and that would be Brutus. I think that way he could avoid being a part of the plot and all culpability. Oh, Big Mom's soul fruit. I need someone evil, an evil bitch, and someone that literally sucks the soul out of children, probably abuses his adrenochrome. Margaret Thatcher. Her reign over England will last forever. Fuck England. Kinemon's Fuka Fuka no Mi clothing fruit is possessed by Lady Godiva. She needed that fruit. She looks like she was a coal riding that horse. Nipples were looking a little bit hard. Baby Five's arms fruit would have been consumed by a pure warrior like Spartacus. Imagine him getting a hold of the fruit as a gladiator and just going ham on the Romans during the rebellion. Just popping out gladiuses, axes, maces, shields, arrows. We might have seen a different Rome if he had that fruit, and it had probably been successful. Stupid ass Buffalo's spin fruit, the Garu no Mi, I don't know who would have ate it. Orville Wright ate it? I don't know. He wanted to fly to most in the world, right? So instead of inventing a plane, he just had a fruit fulfill his dream. I think it would have probably looked pretty retarded though. Trebo's Beta no Mi, a fitting name by the way, was eaten by a complete creepwad, a slime ball, a fucking crust bucket, a nasty ass individual. So maybe Kim Jong-un? He looks like a pretty grimy ass dude. Probably got fucked over and ate the bad fruit, but would have fit his personality and appearance perfectly. Oh ho ho, the gravity fruit Zushi no Mi is gonna be hacks as hell in the right hands. This could low-key be given to any warlord, but Attila the Hun, the Scourge, would just be fucking devastating to Europe with meteors and leveling whole cities. You know how many fat ass potholes Europe would have now? Shit would look like Nashville all over the place. I legit wouldn't know how you could defeat Attila with that fruit. Maybe that was a mistake. Actually, nah, he's fine with it. The Bari barrier fruit is mid-key a crazy fruit to have. Someone who could create an indestructible barrier. You know what? I want to see an alternate history. Give that boy Julius the fruit. Brutus has the mark fruit, but Caesar has the impenetrable barrier. Uh-oh, who's winning? The Nui no Mi stitch fruit is sort of similar to the Ito no Mi. I think if someone other than freaking Leo had it, shit would have been crazy to see. So I don't want it also squandered on a pipsqueak. With Tomoe Gozen's graceful swordsmanship, I think she'd be crazy with the fruit. The glare fruit allows you to read people's minds, send out freaking large teardrop whales, and clairvoyance. Pretty much an easy way to obtain observation hockey. Maybe a great spy would use it pretty efficiently. Someone of the likes of Sir Francis Walsingham, Queen Elizabeth's spy master. Imagine the amount of information and intel he would gather with the fruit. Elizabeth would quite literally have the entirety of Europe in her hands with no chance of failing. The Ato no Mi art fruit actually looks like it would be right up Van Gogh's alley with how abstract Giola's illustrations were. Imagine if Van Gogh can just transform what was around him into what he saw in his mind. Shit is a schizo's paradise. I'd also be a little dangerous in his hands. Ain't no telling what that man was thinking when he was down bad. But Starry Night coming to life would be so cool. The Jake fruit is so weird, man. I'm stumped who could actually use this efficiently. Turn yourself into a jacket? I mean, it lets you control someone who lets you wear it. Maybe someone disabled like King William III of Britain, hunchback and asthmatic, but he was a good war commander. I mean, he could just take over one of his soldiers and just go ham on the battlefield. The Pamu rupture fruit would cause mass destruction. Any city with the right wielder. You know who hated cities? Specifically southern ones? That's right, give that fruit to my boy General Sherman. He'd make those neckties look like formal attire during his march to the sea. I don't think there would be anything left of Atlanta and Chattanooga today, to be honest. There would not be a reconstruction. Sorry, my Nugas. The sweet swim fruit would be most beneficial with someone who is already an amazing swimmer, but they would also have to be an excellent warrior as well. There are two ethnicities to come in mind which I think are excellent swimmers. The Bajau Indonesian Sea Gypsies and the Polynesians. And no other warrior that comes to mind that can make this as hacks as Senior Pink is a warrior queen, Nafanwa of Samoa, one of the greatest Polynesian warriors ever. So OP, in fact, they didn't even know she was a woman amidst the war until her chest was revealed by wind. I think if she could swim through the actual island, no man could ever challenge her. Mach Vice's Ton Ton fruit is just the same spin on the Kilo fruit. So why not give it to an actual warrior this time? A giant one. Pierre Gerloff's Danya fits that bill. At a whopping 7 feet tall and noted for his legendary strength, imagine the giant Frisian manipulating his sword and height to put even more force into his swings. He would make Thorfell swings look like a joke. That would actually be a Sukuna level cleave with that fruit. He was also a Frisian pirate, which is a bonus. The flag fruit Hira no Mi is another weird one, but in the right hands again would go crazy. Someone notably an excellent swordsman, not Diamante, could make great use of it in battle, and my pick would be William Marshall, who was known as the greatest knight in Europe for some time. Dude is who Barristan Selmy is based off of. With that fruit, come on bro, that might be Admiral level. Because Ishi stone fruit, I'm gonna do it. Hold on, I'ma do it. Let me cook here, let me cook. Stonewall Jackson. The Civil War kind of looking interesting right now. Come on, Sherman versus Stonewall Jackson? Imagine that battle. Montchalie's heel fruit I think is deserving of a despicably underrated woman in history, and possibly the greatest combat medic of all time, Mary Cecil, who saved countless lives of British soldiers during the Crimean War, a Jamaican woman who brought comfort and relief to many soldiers despite being almost forgotten in the annals of history. The amount of lives she could have influenced with that fruit would have been prolific. Raizo's Scroll Maki no Mi has to be eaten by the greatest ninja of all time, of course. Come on now, Hattori Hanzo, no question about it. Saved Tokugawa's life, defended Iga with a few hundred men. Demon Shinobi Hanzo. Fucking no diffs Naruto, let's be real here. Imagine an actual real ninja with a real ninjutsu. And now imagine the Edo period with Devil Fruit. Way better than Wano and Onigashima, no doubt peak non-fiction right there. Bulei's Mirror Fruit, I could also see a great medic using it, just like Mary Cecil and Desmond Doss. Another legendary nurse, Florence Nightingale, would have been a great fit for the fruit. She could have managed to safely transport British soldiers into the mirror world away from danger with ease. Maybe the war would have been a little unfair with those two ladies on British side, but hey, they deserve it after what I did to them with Margaret Thatcher. Caroline's Lick fruit gives you the ability to manipulate and create candy at will. Might not be a warrior, but since it's my favorite book of all time, come on, let me give it to Roald Dahl. I want a real life Charlie in a Chocolate Factory, damn it. He create Candyland and be real life Willy Wonka with his imagination.
What the hell?
It makes me tear up just thinking about how base that would be. Cracker's biscuit fruit would be great for a god tier tactician, someone from Sun Tzu's school and someone who was always against the odds with lower troop count. I think that sums up Zhuge Liang's character. A cunning general during the Three Kingdoms period, pulled off one of the greatest bluffs in military history. Outnumbered, he had to trick Sima Yi's soldier into thinking he would be ambushed after letting his troops through the city gate. With Cracker's fruit, he would not have to have resorted to the cunning trick, instead tricked them with crackers instead of his own men. Or maybe just use them to kill him. The butter fruit is something personally my fat ass would like to have, but alas, would fuck up my cholesterol. So instead, I give it to Louis Nicolas Deveau, one of Napoleon's greatest marshals. I'd imagine he'd make great use of ensnaring enemies using the fruit in tandem with his sheer tactical brilliance. The book Baku fruit is best fitting for a scholar. No scholar specifically, except Aristotle. Actually, wait, were books used by then? Did he use scrolls? Okay, the Apostle Paul could officially document his letters in the God. Wait a minute, were those scrolls too? Damn it, okay, Immanuel Kant. There, perfect for this fruit. The cream fruit has burning and ensnaring effects. Now to pair that with Oliver Cromwell, sorry Ireland, I'll promise I'll make it up to you. Really squeeze fruit. Now I don't know why, but I think it would be fitting of Ned Lowe, a pirate known for his great cruelty and sadism. I think wringing out unlucky seafarers for some good old vitamin C for his scurvy, then uncaringly disposing of him into the sea seems pretty fitting in my opinion. The Memo memory fruit is something that could change the course of history dramatically in the right or wrong hands. In this case, the wrong hands. In my mind, a crazy plot would be if Heinrich Himmler got a hold of the fruit after learning about it through the SS, then planned to manipulate Hitler's memory so that he could pull the strings of the Third Reich. An alternate history that would send chills down my spine. The fruit of hell, dog tooth katakuri, the church of katakuri. The mochi mochi fruit, as we have seen already, could be devastating in the right hands despite its appearance. Now y'all know I'm a weeaboo already, so I'll just straight up be unapologetically biased. Give that to my boy Michel Ney, another one of Napoleon's marshals, the bravest of the brave. Defended France during the Sixth Coalition. With cat's fruit and his remarkable tactical skills, this would make France an even more formidable force during the Napoleonic Wars. You know what? Maybe I should give all the best marshals a fruit. I feel as though l'Empereur Napoleon with his tactical brilliance would have wanted that to make his Grande Armée unbeatable. Now I don't know if this is haram, but imagine the might of Arabia if the sword of Allah, Khalid ibn al-Walid, one of the greatest Arab commanders of all time, had the Hoya Hoya no Mi with the ability to summon a genie. Now I don't know if that would be racist or against the teachings of the Quran, but it just seems like it would be fitting fruit for such a great commander. Ovens heat fruit, why not give it to someone who just loves scorched earth tactics to a great extent during their battles? Stefan the Great is a notable figure who used it against Mehmed II in the Balkans. I think the earth would have been a little bit more than scorched with that fruit. Brusen's got the best fruit, the cook fruit. I mean, I don't need a fruit to do that, you know what I mean? But I think someone would do a great deal for humanity with it during the right time. This is the only time I'll do this, but I think an anonymous man of goodwill would have found the fruit amidst the great Chinese famine and saved his people from the starvation. The amount of lives that unknown man would have saved could have probably been unprecedented with that fruit. In the millions, perhaps. The Gocha Gocha Pow Pow fruit allows fusion between people. That would be awesome with a unified group of warriors. Warriors that shared a bond so great that fusion would make them an even greater force. So the immortals come to mind when I think about this. If Hydarnus the Younger ate the fruit and merged with his 10,000 immortals, Leonidas would have been defeated a lot sooner. He might even shit his pants. But don't worry, I'll even the playing field later though. For revolutionaries fruits, I think it would be cool if real revolutionaries possessed them. Like Morley's Oshi Oshi fruit would have been paramount for George Washington's general Nathaniel Greene to eat it to be able to circumvent, slow down, and disturb Brits' forces during the southern campaigns. Bello Betty's fruit is literally Haki the fruit. The Kobu Kobu fruit instills inspiration to people, making them rally and give them a fighting spirit. There are many great leaders who could have benefited from this in history, but one comes to mind. Che Guevara is arguably the poster boy of the revolution. Like him or not, with the Kobu Kobu no Mi and the Cuban Revolution, Batista's regime would have been overthrown with even greater speed. America would have a real problem on their hands with even a greater communist threat with Che having that fruit. I wonder how different Miami would have looked. Kibi millet, Kibi dango fruit that Otama possesses tames animals. As unfitting as it sounds, hold on, let me cook again. King Shaka killed a lion to ascend the throne of the Zulus. Imagine if Shaka incorporated lions to fight with him using the Kibi fruit against the British. Holy shit, that would be a keynote. Shinobu's Juko no Mi is also an underrated fruit. Can cause things to decay and age at touch. Even humans. I can see Tamerlane withering through the Persians like a ghastly plague. Admiral level threat right there with conquerors. Shiryu's clear fruit, oh my goodness. Let's give it to a swordsman, obviously. Miyamoto Yagyu, a swordsman that rivaled Miyamoto Musashi, the GOAT at the time. How fitting would it be if the legendary samurai who once dueled Musashi had the clear fruit, as Shiryu will rival Zoro in the end. Maybe with the fruit he could even defeat Musashi, only in an alternate timeline. Doc Q's sick fruit could enhance the wrath of the Khans, since they were known for utilizing biological warfare against their enemies. Instead of Genghis, whom I have another fruit in store for, could go to his cavalry general Jebe, who was known as Arrow. With his arrows, he could literally infest almost any city or enemies up against the Khans, especially as one of the greatest cavalry generals of all time. Van Augur's warp fruit, Samuel Heya, no question. Goat Sniper's fruit for Goat Sniper IRL. Warp, Mosin, no scope, warp next. All on the cover of Deep Finish Snow. If he was already known as the White Death, he'll be known as the White Phantom. Jesus Burgess's strong fruit can go to a juggernaut like Sancho the 7th or Sancho the Strong, a 7'3" beast. Sancho already being a giant and a formidable general, the Spanish king would have had no issue reinforcing his title as strong throughout the Crusades. The Shima Island fruit is like Pika's fruit, but instead I guess you can just merge with an island. One of the Republic of Pirates swashbucklers would be fitting to defend the island. So how about the man who declared himself the governor of Pirate Island itself, which would be the Pirate Thomas Barrow. I think that would make King George's job a lot more difficult. Vasco Shot's glove fruit could be possessed by actual drunkard Sultan Salim II. That wouldn't have made him to be a fun drunk to be around. Paired with his love of a harem as well, bro was the closest thing we could get to Vasco Shot, unless he was also a a pillager as well. Cockaju's whip fruit moochie no me. I could go to the Uncle Ruckus route and give it to a deserving white man who could whip up them niggas in order. Maybe if a great righteous white man had it, we could get these monkeys back in line just like the good old days.
I ain't saying shit. You can call me Toby, Obama, Cleveland.
That's right, nigga. That is right.
But I think Aromal Shakvar, a skilled Indian warrior who might have likely used an urumi, a whip-like sword, would be a beast with the fruit. Bluegrass's ride fruit gives you the ability to ride someone. Pause. It could be used by someone like Horatius Cocles and ride his men into battle. Pause. Okay, I don't know, but I think he'd find a great use for it. Maybe controlling a lion to ride into battle. Now the Gura no me. I'm giving it to my boy Monsieur Napoleon Bonaparte, baby. He was already known as the man who could destroy the world by the Europeans, so why not give it to the strongest fruit, to the strongest general, of course. Waterloo? No problem. Leipzig? Easy. The Battle of Trafalgar? Sorry, Admiral Nelson, but even if you're Admiral level, Napoleon is on a different level. That would be like a fucking Marine fort in real life. Shit would be so crazy. I don't know if I could make the French even more hacks than they already are, but excuse my French D1 dick ride. Another espionage related fruit like violas, the Nagi no Mi creates a soundproof barrier that cancels all noise for someone. A master of whispers, so to speak, would possess it. And J. Edgar Hoover comes to mind with how secretive and deceptive he was during his admission, a slimy snake. Toki's time travel fruit, I can see in my head canon Beethoven eating the fruit and traveling forward in time to see if there could be a cure of his hepatitis B. To luckily discover not only is there now treatment, but how much music has been changed and influenced by him would be a nice story. Michelangelo eating the brush fruit and discovering he can create moving sculptures out of a painting would be a beautiful sight. I say let him cook with that one. And the last of the Paramythia's Vegapunk's brain fruit quite obviously has to go to Albert Einstein. It would be hundreds of years, if not thousands, if the great German physicist possessed the ability to infinitely store information. Though we might have had an egghead situation like we already do in the manga. But it's worthly if we get, you know what I mean, Lilith and you know what I mean.
Yeah, boy.
Thank you guys for sticking through this. I know this was a long one, but Zoan and Logia are coming very soon in part 2 in the next video. And I know this break week, this 3-week break that Oda's on is unbearable. So hopefully you have something to look forward to. So thank you. And of course, Godspeed.